Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Infinity. And today I have a very nice man, Bill Heinrich, who likes to be introduced as the Divine Purpose Guy. And he's going to share his story of how he became spiritually aware, what happened to him, what he's been doing, and how he uses it and anything else that he feels he can help people with. So, without much ado, I'd like to say, hello, Bill. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me, Zenzi. I appreciate it.
Not at all. Before we started, I did say where you are because I'm here in London and you're here in Southern California, or rather, they're in Southern California, and it's lovely and hot. And whilst we have sun in London, it's still a bit cold, so I'm a bit jealous. I've got my little cardigan on to keep me warm.
Mhm.
So please, Bill,
Yes.
let's
I
please go ahead and start your story.
well, I should start by saying that I'm in Southern California momentarily.
Okay.
I I live in a recreational vehicle, and I've been traveling the country for the last 6 years.
Ah,
So
interesting.
yeah. So I, in fact, I'm leaving here in a week. Actually, a week from tomorrow, I leave here.
And where are you
Uh,
off to now? Or
I'm
then?
going. I'm off to Mexico and then to North Carolina, and then I'm going to spend the summer in Vermont and New England.
You know, when you say you're going to spend the summer, you're in California, it's hot. You're going to Mexico, it's hot. You're going to another place, it's hot. And then you're spending some. It's hot all about where you're going. Is
It's
there, is there any
it's
difference?
no accident, I can assure you. That's
Oh,
called conscious choice.
oh, lovely. I'm going to start making those conscious choices very soon as well. It's time for me to
Mhm.
change. But Bill, I hand you over and tell us your story, please.
Well, very quickly, um, I've owned my own businesses since I was 25. I have a 50 years business experience,
Hmm.
and um, became very successful at a young age, and got all the trappings in life, and that went on for a good while, but I could never find fulfillment. And then life just seemed to get more and more chaotic, confusing, more just a lot of dissatisfaction. And so finally, I was so miserable that about 30 years ago, I walked away from my life. I literally walked out the door to find out what the sources of my misery were, and to completely change my life. And I did. I changed everything but my name. And I've been
Oh,
on that path e- ever since then for the last 30 years. In the course of that, I found out the reasons for my misery, but I also found so many resources that are available to us to change our lives and to live in what I would call as extreme happiness. And I must, the definition to me of extreme happiness is contentment.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
uh, but so today I live a life of choice. I do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, anytime I want.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a life of just living with free will and choice in my life. Because of all the resources that I uncovered, I also got very connected to the metaphysical, to the non-physical side of life, or the spiritual, whatever the hell that is, side of life. I'm not really sure what spirituality is, frankly. Um, and have worked with those resources and live more from a non-physical perspective. So I'm more interested in the non-physical than I am the physical.
Hmm.
And about 15 years ago, after I uncovered some of the abilities that I had, one of the abilities that I've uncovered that I have is I have the ability to show people how to live their life purpose, literally live their life purpose. I've been teaching working with CEOs, executives, and other people for over 15 years. I give a 100% success guarantee, and I'm still doing that today. I've been doing that. Love it. It's really profound the way people can change their lives, and when they understand who they are authentically, it just opens up a whole new world. And so those that I've worked with, and those that I'm working with now, we live from a place that's not describable. It's not describable to the normal person, because it's just, it's so the opposite. It's just amazing. I mean, it's just, when I work with clients, they're like, well, tell me what will happen. It's like, it's number one, I can't, because we don't know who you are. I know who you are, but we don't know who's going to show up when you get your authentic self. Uh, and if I describe to you the life I live and what it is, you shake your head and go, oh, okay. But the truth of the matter is you don't have the capacity to understand it, until you live it. And
Okay.
that, and the moment you live it, the people always say the same thing to me. They say, boy, you were right. There is no way on God's green earth that I could have ever understood how fantastic this is. It's the change is that drastic. And when you go through that change, when you have that, really have your authentic self, nothing else matters, literally, because of the freedom that you have and the way that you get to live and the power that you live with. So it's quite an exciting transformation.
Do you find when you are working with people and you're bringing out their authentic self, the reason, I suppose, one of the reasons why you can't tell them how it's going to be, because everybody's different.
Well, that's that is a number one, the very, very first, most important thing, and the thing that causes the biggest problem in life. And that is everyone is completely different.
Okay. Yeah.
And because of that, society wants everyone to live a certain way to fit in.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it's not,
it's just
no,
the only thing it can create is suffering. That's it.
that's not, yeah. I think with society, we have to let go of society because we've been boxed in and made to go into a certain stream for a reason, which is not to our advantage. And so what you're doing is making people realize who they are and empowering them to be who they are and empowering them to have that courage to be who they are.
It doesn't take courage, it just takes awareness. There's no
Okay.
courage involved. Not when you know who you are. There's no
Yeah.
courage. It's just, and the irony is, courage is a word. We live in two different worlds. Okay. We live in a physical world,
Yeah.
but that's all an illusion. That's
Yes.
all made up. That's not true.
Mhm.
And we live in a non-physical world, which is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is where your true self resides. In the non-physical world, you would never use the word courage, ever.
Because you are. You just are.
You are who you are,
You are
right?
who you are. You just are.
Courage, courage is
Comes
something
from
that
the
you need
physical. Mm,
to step through the suffering,
that's
and
right.
to step through being different,
That's
supposedly being different, how
different.
you're going to be judged, all the things that create suffering in the physical world.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You
need to
know, it's
come
like,
away from that
yeah,
and it's yourself.
like, I don't care what you think of me. I could care less.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if there's something that someone doesn't like about me. I'd love to hear about it.
Hmm.
Maybe I can learn something about myself. Maybe there is a character defect or something that I'm displaying that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
but I don't care what anybody thinks about me because it's not. I'm not going to change to please you.
Mhm. You are who you
Because,
are.
well, I am who I am, and you see, ultimately, when you understand who you are authentically and you understand your purpose,
Mhm.
here is the way we all live: is we are here to be of service to everyone else from a place of love for the
Yes.
benefit of all involved.
Yes.
Now, when you're coming from that position,
Yes.
you literally can do no wrong. It can get perceived as being wrong by someone else. It can be seen a lot of different ways. We don't even care what happens. What happens in the physical world doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how I show up to it.
You're so very true. You're so very true. It is how we show up. It's knowing who we are, and I keep on want to say having that courage, but you're right. When you are in that place, it's not about courage. It is who you are. The courage probably takes from being in the physical and taking that leap of faith and saying, "This is not right. I need to see who I am." It's taking that step.
You, but that doesn't even take courage. That just takes awareness.
Mm.
You know, again, there's a language for the physical world and
Yeah.
there's a language for the non-physical world,
Mhm.
the metaphysical world, the
Yeah.
language of our soul. And anytime you hear the language of our soul, you're going to hear someone speak with a second grade vocabulary. It's very simple.
Mhm.
There's no complications in the non-physical world.
Mhm. It is as it is,
Right.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, it is as it is. And
That's
we're
it.
all individuals, and this is what we're here to do and what we need to do. That's what you're there to do, what you just get on with it. And it will all
In
fit
fact,
in.
yeah. In fact, I tell all my clients, I was just interviewed by a woman in Australia who fell out of her chair when I said this, but I tell all my clients I could care less about their results. They don't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I teach them how to live authentically from their unique position, but I can't make choices for them.
That's right. Yeah.
They have to make the choices.
Yes.
So what happens is they make them and they get caught in the physical world, then they come back and we talk about it,
Hmm.
right? The other thing I teach them and teach everybody is this: is there's only one thing wrong with the universe. Other than that, it's perfect. There's only one thing wrong with it, and that's your perception of it.
That's right.
The
And
universe
and
is perfect.
and that's not even wrong with the universe. That's what's wrong with us.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
but it
And yes, well, we're part of the universe, and we are part of that.
we are part of the
We are.
universe, right?
We are the
Every
universe.
every
Not part of it. We are the universe. So you're
that's it,
correct. Yeah. One thing wrong, and
you
it's
know,
our perception.
yeah, we don't have a soul. We are a soul.
Yeah.
And
And
that
we just come to the awareness of the reality of it.
and we've come to learn lessons. There's 38 different life lesson paths that people can be on. They create billions of different combinations. Um, but the fact of the matter is you're here to learn those lessons. And so when when you're living in the physical world, you're living from a place of extreme ignorance, which is
Hmm.
something most people don't like to hear. And you're living a life that's totally out of control,
Yeah.
completely. There's a keynote speech that I give. This The title of it is "My Life is Out of Control and Yours is Too." we have no control over our lives. We just have control in the present moment, and that's it.
Yes. Yes. And this is why they always say, don't worry about the future, because the future is what you do now. Concentrate on what you're doing now, because what you did in the past brought you to where you are now, and what you're doing
There's
now will take you to the future. So focus on what you're doing now.
there's no such thing as a future.
No, no.
That's a
Everything is now.
complete it's a figment of people's imagination. When people speak of the future, what they're doing is they're taking their past and throwing it out in front of them.
Mhm,
It's when you talk about your future, you can only talk about your past relived,
mhm.
because the only source of information you have to speak about your future is from your past.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no such thing as a future. We're in the, oh, there it goes. We were there for a second, right? It's just all we're always in the past. It's the,
Yes. I understand what
and
you're saying, because as
and
it
and
goes,
time,
now is now the past.
right? Yeah, and time is the only commodity that we have and valuable thing that we get to spend, where we have no idea what the balance in our account is. We don't know. We don't know how much time we have.
Because it is infinitesimal. It's never
Well,
ending.
it's out of our control. Both of us could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah. And do you think, although we're gone, as you say, we're gone tomorrow, um, but then do you not think that we have a chance of returning to continue?
Who knows? Who knows and who cares? Right? The only thing I care about, and I know this beyond a shadow of a doubt, is there is a heaven and hell, but it's on earth.
Because
And
we are close.
I teach people how to live in what we call heaven here in the physical. The rest of it, yeah, we're gonna
Amongst the
die, we're gonna
saints.
leave. And who we'll take care of that when that comes. Right now there's so much suffering in the
Yeah,
physical.
that's right.
Everybody's suffering. Nobody knows who they are ultimately, and when people look in the mirror and they see themselves, they aren't seeing themselves. What they're seeing is a manifestation of their energy in that moment.
Yes.
And what you're seeing in the mirror is not you, because you, on the day you die, leaves.
Yes. Because we're
What you
energy.
see in the mirror
Is
stays
the
here.
physical. Is the physical.
It's
Yeah.
it's your
It's the
milk carton.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's I say to people, just as you need a body or an outer body to go to the moon or to Mars, that is what we need on this physical earth, is this flesh, this body, to
Right.
be in this place. And when the time is over and we no longer need it, this stays here, and who we actually are returns back, as you say, to that universe, that energy, that
Right.
true force, the unseen. In our body we are seen, without the
Hmm.
body we are unseen.
I did I I knew Bob Proctor, and we did an interview with Bob. We made a wisdom film with Bob a number of years ago. And in that, he was asked to talk as if it was his last day on earth. And what he said was so profound. He said, everything you have the day you die goes to someone else,
Yes.
but everything you are stays with you
You.
forever.
Yes.
And
It's
that's the difference between the physical and the non-physical. And there's two guideposts that determine where you are, and those guideposts are called emotions. And there's only two emotions, and that's it. All the rest, every other emotion comes from one of these two.
Mhm.
And the two that I'm referring to are fear and love.
Fear. Yes. Absolutely
Now,
correct. Fear and love.
fear fear can only be created in your physical life.
Yes.
It's impossible to have fear in your non-physical life.
Physical life. It doesn't exist.
So the only thing that you can create in your non-physical life is love.
Love.
To have fear, you have to be in your mind and you're in the past. That's
Yes.
the only way you can create fear is in the past. You can't create fear in the present moment. And the irony of it is there's a saying and it goes like this. Fear knocked on the door and love answered, but no one was there because they can't coexist.
Exist.
It's impossible for fear and love to coexist.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
So what you're actually doing with your clients and the gift you have is is to encourage people to be their authentic self, which is loving who they are. Um,
No, no, no. Number one, I don't encourage anybody about anything. I'm not
o-
into motivation. I'm only into transformation.
into
And it's
transforming their minds from who.
no transforming their energy, not their mind.
Okay.
I instruct them not to use their mind. You want to
Mhm.
use your mind to go to the grocery store. You want to use your mind to get up and leave the house. You know, people people talk about mindset now
Yeah.
with spirituality.
Mhm.
That's bullshit. Mindset is horrible. It's absolutely it's the antithesis of spirituality.
Mhm.
It does not fit with spirituality. And the reason it doesn't is because your mind can only access the past and set is fixed. And the
Yes.
universe is in a constant state of organic expansion, constant state of change. So if you're in the past and you've got a fixed mindset, you're in resistance and suffering, guaranteed.
I
But
understand.
people defeat themselves all the time just in the way they speak. It's amazing how it's just how self-defeating everyone is in the manner in which they speak. They don't, there's a language in the non-physical. And let me tell you what the language is between the non-physical and physical. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. The physical provides a physical image.
Yeah.
The non-physical language provides an essence.
Okay.
And let me give you an example of that. Okay. Define love for me.
Mhm. You want me to define love?
Mm-hmm.
Love is an unconditional feeling of freedom to be.
But what does it look like?
I think, as you say, it's an essence. It's an essence.
You can't define it.
You cannot
You can't
define
describe what it looks.
it.
It
There is
what it
no,
the way it
it's a
the way
feeling.
it manifests in the moment. It could be in the birth of a child. It could be a flower. It could be nature. It could be a kind gesture. It could be a kind word. It could be so many different things. You
It's a
see,
feeling, then, isn't it?
it's all about how you feel.
Feel. It's a feeling.
One 100%. So your feelings are your radar that guide you in
Yeah.
life. They're the things that come up. Now, there's only one thing in life that's true, and that's it. And that's how you feel. Nothing
Hmm.
else is true.
Yeah.
But how you feel is true because that's your vibration, and everything in the universe runs on vibration.
Yeah.
Everything runs on vibration. So as you learn this, the irony is people, when you talk about the non-physical, people talk about, oh, it's woo woo and all this. It's like, no, it isn't. It's what you breathe. Your breath is who you are.
Because your breath again is energy. It's that pulse.
That's it.
It's that
Your,
pulse.
your life purpose isn't what you do. Everybody thinks, oh, I live my life purpose. I do this. It's like, no, there's nothing further from the truth. Your life purpose is a unique energy that you do every word, thought, and action with. That creates your purpose. What you're doing in the physical is irrelevant.
So it's what you're saying is that your life's purpose, because it's energy, because it's a feeling, it's and because we are love, because we are that unforeseen
That's our essence.
and essence. So because we are love, that feeling of happiness, of joy, whatever makes us be. And everything we do should be reflecting that feeling. And where that feeling is not present, that is a disease against who we are.
Yeah, well, where that feeling isn't present is
Yeah.
suffering.
It's suffering. Yeah, it's against it. It's suffering. Yeah, it's an dis-ease. It's uneasy. Yes, it's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So, so as it said, we are unconditional love.
Yeah. And the irony is, people think they think that, oh, this is really, oh, what he's saying, oh, that really sounds good, but it can't be. And it's just the opposite, because when you understand it and you present it, people love it.
Yeah,
They love it or they're terrified of it, because
because what
they have an innate understanding of what love is, and they're too afraid to live from a place of love, and
mm,
so they have to stay in hatred and suffering, because the opposite of love is fear and hatred,
mm,
right? But when you understand it, we have, I can take this further.
take it,
we have
please.
You're familiar with the chakras.
Yes,
Okay, so we have 7 chakras.
that's right. Yes,
Okay, and it starts with the root chakra, and the groin goes up to the crown
yeah,
chakra, the roof of our heads. These
sacral
are these are
energy.
energy centers in our body.
Yes,
The energies that flow through this are what create our purpose. Every one of them, when you start at the root chakra, the energy that flows through there is divine compassion, then divine creation, divine order, divine healing, divine authentic self expression, divine truth, and divine power are the energies that flow through. Everybody has all of these energies, but we all have them in different proportions. This is
yes,
what makes us so unique. This is what makes us different. But what happens is, when we're born, we aren't aware of that. We're born perfectly, and the moment we're born, they slap our ass and everything goes downhill from there. It's don't do this, don't do that, right?
yes, yes.
And you get forced into the physical,
Cool.
into survival,
Cool. Yeah,
when in fact we're these perfect energetic beings, where we've gone through massive energy reduction to come into the physical, and then everything's about surviving. we come with life lessons in the physical. So our view is only this much of what's going on, and
It
we learn
shows.
to protect ourselves. And you live your whole life in this little space,
Yeah.
never understanding the energies that are flowing through you. So, and I have the ability to teach people exactly what their energetic DNA is, each of those energies.
Mm.
And what's fascinating about them is when you're not aware of them, which nobody is, when you're not aware of them, you are penalized because you're not using the energies in the manner in which they're intended.
Mm-hmm.
Consequently, what there's typically three of those energies that are going to make up the biggest part of who you are. So, like one of them, divine order is one of them. When you have divine order as one of the energies, these are people that hate it when people are upset with them. They hate it if there's a confrontation going on. There anything that like goes against, they just want to keep peace. Okay. This is their innate way of surviving. And the reason it is because they breathe an energy of harmony and balance. Now, they think it's their logic that's telling them, they think their logic is saying, oh, don't do that, keep them happy. It's not your logic. It's because of how you feel energetically. And we are people that breathe harmony, balance. We make great teachers. We love blueprints. We love plans. We just move harmoniously. And when there's a disruption, we can feel it from 5 miles away energetically. So they're always trying to keep the peace and abandoning themselves.
Yeah.
Yet when they understand who they are, they can step into the confrontation from a place of harmony, balance, and love and smooth everything out in a second
Yeah.
once they understand how to use the energy and when they understand what the energy is. I have a client right now, for instance, who's a retired attorney. Okay. This is one of his largest gifts. Okay. Because this is one of his largest gifts, this is the way our life lessons work.
Yeah.
His mother is a cantankerous pain in the ass who hates life.
She hates life.
She hates life and always has, and she's in her 90s now.
Oh
And I
my
was just
God.
talking to David. I was just talking to David the other day and saying, do you see what that did to you as a child? He didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing he could do to keep peace in his house. And he consequently lived in this little cocoon where he was protected his whole life in this work in a law firm. He had a very good job, but he never started living his life until just a few years ago when he met me. Now he can breathe. Now he knows how to handle his mother.
Yeah.
Now he's living freely, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and all of this is undeniable. It's
Yeah.
undeniable.
Yeah.
And that's just one of millions of cases
No.
with people. And
I
that
can. When you said that, I thought, yeah, that's a bit of me.
yeah, well, we all have these energies. We have them
Yes.
in different,
Of
there's
course.
7 different energies. Now, and
Yes.
these energies are different than our life lessons. Our life lessons are what's happening in our physical life and what we've come to learn in our physical life.
Physical life. Yes.
Okay. And so this is why you see people who always have trouble with money. This is why some people just have trouble with relationships. Some people are always in confrontation with everything. They just do it over and over again. And you look and go, how the hell how can this be for them? I mean, handling money is not that hard. Well, that's not one of your challenges. It happens to be theirs.
Yes. Yeah.
But once you have the awareness of it, you can start making choices.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is when you get the awareness and you make the choice, you get instant gratification because the energy changes instantly. It isn't like doing push-ups for 30 days and you'll be stronger. It's
Just
like,
change.
oh, If I do this, that will change. You know, people with addictions, okay,
Yes.
are very much, very, very much. They don't have a problem with the drugs they use. They don't have a problem with alcohol. They have a problem with life and avoidance.
Yes. Yes.
That's the problem. And the
Yes.
reason they have problems with it is because they have a lack of awareness. Because when you have the awareness, you can make a choice. It doesn't feel good. It seems very scary because we've been taught, it, it's just, we've been taught, like a person stepping into where there's confrontation and they live that way their whole life. It's terrifying for them. But the moment you step forward and you speak from this place of love and harmony and balance, which is just you,
Yeah.
everything changes instantly
Instantly.
because other people can't block the energy.
Agree.
They can use their intellect to argue and take a different position. But when you come in with energy, it can't be blocked. Energy's energy. I've just written a book. It's coming out, in fact, in the next week or so on Amazon. It's called Clarity Has No Story.
Let me write that down. Clarity has no story.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
When you have
Yes.
clarity, there's no story.
Oh, yeah. When you
When you
understand
have
where.
when you have the clarity and you make a choice, that's it. Like you and I had an appointment today. We both had clarity on what that appointment was.
That was
There's no
it.
story around it,
Mhm. It is
right?
what it is.
If I didn't show up or couldn't make it, I'd be into a story, right?
Mhm.
Right? People have stories to protect. It's just to protect themselves.
Yeah.
That's the only purpose of stories is for protection, resolution, and to overpower or overforce or control someone. Oh, you don't understand. This is the way we do it.
Mhm.
Let me explain to you, blah, 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 blah. When somebody isn't happy with me and I get an email that's 4 paragraphs, I just delete it. It's like I don't even want to hear their story
It
because
is
it's
what it
all
is.
BS. Yeah. It's like it's like a woman. I had a woman invited me to be on her podcast, right? She got back to me and she's like, wow, like, because I have over 100 interviews. I'm now writing my third book. And obviously, this is a fascinating topic. And she's like, oh, we definitely want to have you on. We have this many followers, blah, blah, blah. And she sent me this big long email after she asked me to be on. And at the bottom of it, says, and we ask you to contribute this much money to be part of the podcast
I
for
beg your
production
pardon.
costs. Yeah. And I responded to her and I said, I really appreciate the invite, but my marketing budget's already committed. So I'm going to have to take a pass, but thank you. A couple of days later, I got another email from her and said, can I ask you why you didn't do it? And then it went on to 4 or 5 paragraphs of why I should. And I sent her back a note and I said, well, how sad your email was. It just made me feel very sad. I've told you what my choice was and it doesn't
Exactly.
change.
You told her in the email you sent first
But
that your
but this
marketing
is
on.
but
That's
this
it.
is what people do. They're just it's all about blah 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 blah, right? And when you have clarity, it's just again you speak in a second grade language. There's no reason to be in some long descriptions.
It
It's
is
just
what it
what
is.
is it,
You said it like it is. You said it straightforward, and that was it. It wasn't in French. It wasn't in German. It was in the language she understood. Story finished.
right? And this is the way people live in the physical.
Yeah.
They're all wanting people to participate in their agenda and do this and do that. And, when you live from a place that's authentic, you make choices that are going to support who you are, support your expansion,
Mhm.
and you're going to do things for the benefit of everyone involved, regardless of the outcome. Now,
Yeah.
if the outcome in the physical is something that's an accident, somebody dies, somebody gets away, whatever it is, all that stuff is going to happen.
Mm.
It's all about how you show up to it. And this is what's happening in companies with culture is the culture is all about making a dollar. And the irony is when you learn to connect with
Mhm.
your people and you teach them how to be powerful, your culture will thrive and your bottom line will grow by leaps and bounds because everybody's contributing in a positive way.
Mhm. Everybody's contributing in a positive way for the benefit of those who they're giving whatever that item or whatever that service is.
Exactly. Exactly. In fact, here's another the question I love asking everybody. You have to pick one, either accountability or responsibility. Which one do you choose?
Only one?
Yeah.
Account Accountability.
No.
Should be responsibility.
Yeah. Because when you're responsible, there's no need to be accountable.
Accountable. Okay.
When you're accountable energetically, what that means
It's
is you're
something,
answering outside of you.
yeah, something that has been done. So it's about
It's
your
out, but
response
it's
in
out.
the
You're
moment.
see, you're 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 doing things to get acceptance, and you're allowing someone else to control the outcome.
Okay.
When you're responsible,
Responsible for your
you
actions.
you understand what the commitment is, and you get to live up to the commitment and collaborate, but not be accountable. And you may create something where somebody goes, yeah, like that's good, but and it's, oh, tell me about it, right?
Mm.
I
Yes,
have no.
because what
You
you're
see the
saying,
difference in the energy?
because you're saying, and it's what you've been saying all the time, when you're responsible for what you do and you're doing it from an authentic stance, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, but that's not your business. Your business is
Exactly.
to respond in your own vibration, in your authentic way. What
Exactly.
happens out there is nothing to do with you.
Can
Oh,
it
Bill,
be
I do
done
like
that?
you.
What's that?
I said, oh, Bill, I do like you.
When you do something, can it be done better? Yes, always.
Mhm.
We aren't perfect.
No,
There's always a higher vibration, always,
yeah. Where you can see
always.
things from a different view and then you take that stance.
But it's not right or wrong.
Mhm.
You know, like I have a woman working for me now in the Philippines who's doing some of my social media things. And she started asking me questions. Do you like this? I said, stop asking me those questions. You have to do this and put them up. If something isn't the way we want it, we'll talk about it. I
Yeah,
mean, it it was terrifying. I said, "You're here to learn. I'm going to teach you how to be better so that you'll quit. I want you to quit."
yeah.
What do you mean? I said, "Because I want you to advance so far that you don't need to work for me any longer.
Oh, wow.
You can go do then I fulfilled what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It
So
isn't
cool.
to
Yeah, what
keep
you're
her
saying,
captive.
no, whatever somebody does, they should do it because they believe in what they're doing and that is right. If it's not right, somebody will let them know.
Or they want it if it changes. No big deal. You know,
Whatever.
yeah, people all the time, oh no, I've got my job, I've got to stay there. It's like, no, you don't. There's nothing further from the truth. Nothing further from the truth. You can walk out of there today. You're there because you chose to work there. So don't tell me you can't leave, because that's not true. That's making you a victim. That's
But
giving someone else your power.
that's right. And
Is it
this,
in your best is it in their best interest to leave? Maybe, maybe not.
mhm,
But it's the energy behind their perception that creates the suffering.
okay. So what you're saying is somebody's in a job that they don't like, but they stay there, and because they stay there, their whole energy is being brought down because they're not happy, and their energy is telling them they're not
Now,
happy.
how many people do you know like that?
Yeah,
Just say
and
everyone.
yes, and what that energy is saying to them, this is not right for you. Make a
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
And it is that, and this is why I say about courage, it's but you say awareness, it's because they're not in this sense, because they're not aware of who they really are, they stay victim in there.
Now here's what I would tell them. Here's what I would tell them if they were in front of me right now and I was coaching them. They'd go, "Oh my God, you're right. What should I do?" What you should do is stay there. Why? Because I want you to understand how you create your suffering. Then you can change it.
Yeah, to
If you
understand
run
it.
away if you run away from it, you can't
Yes,
gain the awareness.
that's right. And this is what in a sense Buddhism says, if sometimes what comes up in front of you is a reflection of yourself, and if you keep on
No,
running away
no,
and running away,
no. It's always a reflection of
yeah,
you, not
it's a,
sometimes.
it's a reflection of yourself. And until you understand that, it's no good going from place to place to place to place, because you'll only be doing the same thing. So until
There's
you look at yourself and realize
right.
what is it I need to change, and you understand that, only then can you
There's
then the change and move
there's
on.
no there's no one else in the world except Zenzi. And
Mhm.
the only thing you ever see is you. It's everything's a mirror to you.
Yeah.
Even even what you're learning, you've called me in to see this new reflection of you.
Yes.
This isn't me, it's you.
Yes. I understand you fully.
Do you see how powerful that is?
Very powerful. Because I understand. Yes, it is a reflection. And I'll be playing this over and over again because we're learning. Yeah, because we're learning all the time. We're
Yeah,
learning, we're learning all the time, and there's nothing wrong. And it helps me, it helps everybody to look at themselves, be aware, understand it, and make the changes that they need to make in order for me,
make
my
not the
audience,
change, not make the change, make the choice.
make the choice. Yes,
What
make the
when you
choice.
make the choice, when you understand, that's the other thing. People come to me, oh, my job is this, and I'm having my wife and my children, and I'm like, that's not why you're here. What do you mean? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. You've come to me because of how you feel about it,
Mhm.
not because of what's going on, but because of how you feel about what's going on.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
And the other thing is, no, very few people use or even know what their greatest asset is. Do you know what your greatest asset is? Your absolute, the most important thing you have in your life is? Most people don't know.
My feelings.
Nope. Free will and choice. And no one knows it. And what they do is they completely block themselves from it because of the decisions they've made.
Right.
They have no access to free will and choice. Like when we were talking earlier, I said I live in an RV and Said, oh, well, I'm only here for till next Friday because I'm leaving, driving down to Mexico. Then I'm leaving, going to North Carolina. Then from North Carolina, I'm going to go to Vermont for the summer.
Mhm.
That's free will and choice. Like, I'm not lucky. This is what I chose.
So, Bill, what would you say? What you're absolutely right. We have free will and choice, and everybody has that. But what do you say to the person, even when you say to them, you have free will and choice? What do you and I know that they will look at you and think, oh, yes, you do have free will and choice. But what do you say to them when they need to face themselves and take and make the different choices in their life? And as you said, it's through fear. How do you encourage them out of that situation so that they can stand up and use their free will and choice and come out of that
It's
mode?
again, I don't encourage anyone to do anything, and I
Mhm.
don't try and convince anyone to do anything. I tell people the truth. You've heard what you've heard from me in this conversation is some pure truth, the highest form of truth available in the physical world. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
And you got to choose which truth fits best for you. I've
Yeah.
not convinced you of anything. I've only shared with you what I've learned through my research.
Mhm.
And then you get to make choices
Yeah.
as to how you want that to affect your perception.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you've heard or learned from me this morning, Zenzi,
Mhm.
that has changed your life now forever?
What I When you ask me a question about accountability and
Yeah, there.
responsibility, and the fact sometimes I do things and I thought, I don't care, this is how I feel and that's it, because this is how I'm feeling and I know how I'm feeling. And I had to do that recently in a situation, and it was difficult because I knew it would upset somebody, but I had to do it because I knew it was the right thing to do. It was how I was feeling. I knew it was the right thing to do regardless of what, and I did it. And yes, it does. It it did make me feel um, uncomfortable because I was making somebody else feel uncomfortable. But I
No,
had
you
to.
weren't. No, you
I had
weren't.
to do it. I had to do
You
it because
you
it was the right deal.
you were not making them feel uncomfortable. They were choosing to feel uncomfortable based on your choice.
Yeah.
They 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 were trying to create happiness in their life outside of them.
Yes.
No one can say anything to hurt me. Only I can hurt me,
Yeah.
right? So what was happening to them is they were counting on you for their happiness.
Yes.
And this is one of the things, you know, people who overgive again and you've probably been tracked
Yes.
with this in the past, where
Yes.
you overgive to the point where you get resentful
Yes.
because
Yes.
everybody's sucking your energy away from you.
You're absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. Yes, I do
Yeah.
overgive, and I
And
feel
so
stuff,
the the
and
first
then I
thing I
feel not
teach
good enough.
and the first thing I teach people like you is this. I want you to write this down, okay?
Oh, I've got pen and paper.
Good. No is a complete sentence.
Oh yes, I've heard that. Yes, I've heard about that. Yes, I've heard that.
There's no other explanation needed. You can just say no.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's true, and this is
That's
what
how
I had.
you
Yeah,
what happens is everything we do either takes our energy or builds our energy.
energy. Yes,
It's one or the other. And
Yes.
what people are in constantly is a state of energetic depletion
Yeah.
because on the plane, they say, oh, yeah, when the mask comes down, put it on yourself first, then take care of your kids. Because if you're not breathing, you can't help your kids.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like with love. If people don't know what love is, with love, the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
So you can't give away what you don't have.
And if you don't love
And
yourself, if you don't fill yourself
and
up, you can't give to anybody else.
and when
But
you're when you're in a constant state of depletion and helping people all the time, and you're pissed off, you're not giving, you're taking. You're doing it, and you're you're expecting to be rewarded. You're expected to
yeah,
say something. You want something in return. When I
and
give, I just give.
yeah, the energy you're giving is not the right energy. It's not the right
No,
energy to do that.
no, not at all.
It's an energy of anger. It's an energy that
Yeah, it's resentment.
is resentment, an energy of resentment.
You
Yeah,
you feel trapped. Yeah.
that's it.
And this is very, very common for, I mean, I could go through, you see, when I teach people about who they are energetically, I don't teach them about their power. I teach them about their dysfunctions, because when you see your dysfunctions are what you're going to be familiar with.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you look at it, you go, oh my God, that's me. Good. Let me show you how we change that.
Yes.
Here's the other side of that energy. And
Yes.
you start working your way there, and you see how fast it happens. And then your whole life changes. And this is why when I work with people, when I'm working with them, they ask me, oh, what's it going to be like? It's like, I have no idea who you are, and you don't either. Let's see who shows up.
Yeah.
And what happens is, the one thing I do tell them is, whoever shows up, whoever it is, you're going to love them. This is going to be the sweetest person you've ever met in your life. You're going to love every ounce of them. And there's nothing better in life than having yourself energetically,
Yes.
authentically having yourself.
And that is the operative word, authentically.
Exactly.
Authentically. And that is, it's not just being you. Who's you?
And
You're somebody else from somewhere else, but the real you stand up.
the authenticity is your energy. It's not what you think or know. We're stupid. Everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Stephen Hawkins. You're stupid, because the universe is just infinite. I mean, we
Yes.
have a negligible amount of intelligence, but our energy is what connects us to everything.
Everything. Everything and beyond.
So I work with, executives and CEOs. We never talk business. And the reason we don't talk business is because when you understand who you are, you know what choice to make.
That's correct.
You're not stuck.
No.
I had a client. In fact, what's interesting with me is my clients work with me a long time. I mean, right now I've got 4 clients who have each been with me over 7 years,
Okay.
right? We meet every week, but we're in expansion, and this client said to me last week, man, I talked to this guy, and if I hadn't been working with you, I would have ripped their head off, because he said he did this and this. And I said, yeah, because he's acting like a victim, and he's trying to get you to let the victim run your business.
Yeah.
You run your business. The victim needs to get in line and be in alignment with her, or needs to go down the street. And this particular person's going down the street, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. You can't be everything to everyone.
One at all. Bill, I can go on and speak to you all day, and I've learnt and understood, and what you've said is like I've known this, and you had to bring it out, and I think, yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. I know this, and you tend to forget. And I can understand why people are with you, because it's as you go through life, and it's constant reminding, and a constant looking and being aware, and it's redoing and being aware of that, and continue, because we're in this bubble, in this is chaos, and we're constantly having to go through
Well,
that.
you are. I'm not into chaos. It's to
Bill,
me,
how sorry,
it's a soap opera. I just get to watch it.
it is. It's true. It is a soap opera. Bill, if somebody wanted to connect with you and work with you, how do they go about it?
Uh, well, my website is called True Life Purpose Now,
Okay.
truelifepurposenow.com is my website.
Yes.
If they wanted to speak to me, they can go to speaktobill.com,
Mm-hmm.
speaktobill.com, and that'll put them on my calendar. It'll go right to my calendar. And then I have a
Okay.
book
So that.
on Amazon. Then I have a book on Amazon, The 7 Levels of Truth, A Direct Path to Your Life
The
Purpose.
7.
That's on Amazon. I have another book coming out in the next week or so called Clarity Has No Story, A Blueprint to
Yes.
Mastering the Law of Attraction. I
Okay.
have a new course that I've just created called the Peak Potential
Okay.
Blueprint, and I'm going to be releasing that very soon. And I also have a book coming out
Sorry,
called the
could you
Peak
repeat that
Potential
again?
Blueprint. The Peak
The course
Potential
you've
Blueprint.
now created.
Peak Potential Blueprint. How to tap
Peak
into your peak
peak
potential.
potential. All right. Peak potential blueprint.
How to tap
Okay.
into your
Fine.
potential.
Lovely. And that's the course, and you've just created that. So if people wanted to get onto that course, how do they do that?
They'd have to get in touch with me. It'll be released in the next month or so. It's an amazing
Okay.
course. It's incredible. It's incredible. Like,
Okay, so people can get in touch with you through your website, which is truelifepurposenow.com,
mhm.
or directly speaktobill.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and I will also put that on the write up when I do this course. Bill, I'd love to speak to you again, probably in about 6 months' time. Bring you back, because I know you've given me so much more awareness of. For me, it's like, yeah, I know that, but why am I not doing that? But I'm sure to my people who are listening, and to my group, just to be more aware of who we are. And I would actually encourage them to get in touch with you to go further, because to live this life is about being authentic and knowing who we really are. And we need that.
Mhm.
We really need that at this time. It is so important. And I encourage everybody, please swarm Bill, contact him on his website, because we really need to be authentic for our true selves to stand up, so that we can live the best life we're meant
And
to live.
it's it's never it's never too late to have that.
No, it's never. And it's a constant growth. It's a constant growth.
Mhm.
Bill, is there any little bits of nuggets you want to say to the viewers who are listening before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Notice where you're being defensive, because when you're being defensive, you're protecting a story inside you, and that story is creating suffering in your life.
Yeah. Notice where we're being defensive. Yes. Yes.
Love needs no defense.
No. because you're open. It's an open book. Okay, Bill Heinrich, thank you so much. In fact, this has been a very long podcast, but it has been so wonderful. So much knowledge. I'm so grateful to you for sharing the amount that you have. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody for joining our podcast. Bye for now.